What I'd like to do now is introduce our first executive armchair interview, Wendy Bergh. Please welcome Wendy. She's the Vice President of Mobile and Digital Strategy at Walmart. Good morning, Wendy.
Good morning.
It's great to see you.
It's good to be here.
Wendy actually had to pay for our parking this morning, so that was 20 years in events, and we're still not picking up the valet service for our keynotes, so we're still learning. So I have a few questions for you, Wendy. I actually prepared for this, if that's okay.
That's great.
If you could let us know your specific areas of responsibility at Walmart and summarize for us what Walmart is doing in mobile commerce today.
Sure. So I am the VP of Mobile and Digital Strategy for Walmart, and what that really means is I'm responsible for laying out the vision of how do we deliver a seamless, anytime, anywhere experience for our customers. So when customers come to Walmart, they don't necessarily think about, I shop with Walmart.com or I shop with Walmart stores. You know, they shop with Walmart, and that's how they talk about Walmart to their friends and their family. And we really want them to have a holistic experience. And mobile is a way to deliver that to the customer, bridging together the offline and online worlds into a holistic, seamless experience and making sure a customer gets access to our assortment, our pricing information, and any other information they might need to make an informed purchase decision. So that's really what we're thinking about when we're thinking about delivering that anytime, anywhere access to our customers.
Great, great. By the way, how many customers does Walmart serve in the U.S. and globally?
Yeah, so in the U.S., every week 140 million customers walk into our stores, and globally that's about 200 million customers walk into our stores. And so we have a huge amount of traction with customers that visit us on a weekly basis for their regular grocery shopping and general merchandise shopping, and so they really are loyal customers.
Great. And my statistics were correct. Roughly 6 or 7% of all retail sales in the United States are generated by Walmart, correct?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Sounds about right. What are Walmart's short, medium, and long-term goals?
Yeah, so it's a good question. The way we think about our strategy is really in 3 buckets. So the first one when we think about mobile is really just mobilizing the .com experience. So customers expect to be able to shop through their smartphones and tablets in an optimized way. And we're doing that, we've been doing that, that's table stakes in our mind. And what is really the differentiator and where we've started to innovate, and I think there's still a lot of room to grow in the future, is what we would call mobilizing stores. And this is really the huge opportunity because we have those 140 million people walking into our stores every week, is giving our store customer indispensable shopping tools, self-help tools through mobile to help them save more money and more time. Because that's what customers really value Walmart for, is savings and convenience. And so that's one where I would say there is no roadmap or there is no, defined structure of what a customer really wants. A lot of it is going to be innovation and iteration, and we've been testing some different things in the kind of that mobilizing stores bucket. A few that I can talk about are, we've really thought about the shopping experience from start to finish. So in terms of that pre-shop experience, we've delivered what I would call shopping list, the mobile shopping list, and customers can build a mobile shopping list. They can see the local store price. They can see the aisle locations in the store. They can see a nice image of the item that's on their list, and they can manage their budget, which is something we hear a lot from our customers that they enjoy. And so once the customers created their shopping list, they can come to the store. And one of the things we've done in the store, across the 4,000 stores in the U.S., is we've geofenced them. So when a customer walks into our store, we ask them if they want to enter store mode. And if they say yes, literally the UI on the home screen flips to show a rich set of features that they would want to use in a store. So it shows the interactive local ad. It shows what's new in that store, what's on rollback, which are our deals in the store. It gives them a barcode scanner and QR code scanner to do price checks. It gives them access to their shopping list. And then finally, if it is a scan and go store, so one of the things we're testing in about 200 stores across the nation is something called Scan and Go, which is a new checkout option. If it's a Scan and Go store, it'll also serve that up. And what Scan and Go is basically customers can take their iPhone app or their Android app, and they can scan items as they shop. And when they're done, they can transfer those items from their phone wirelessly to the self-checkout register and pay as they normally would. And so that's a test we're doing. Customers asked for more checkout options, and we wanted to, try something. And I think that's a good example of, what I feel like our long-term strategy is going towards, which is a lot of testing, iterating with customers, seeing what they like, understanding their friction points, and trying to deliver solutions through mobile.
So you have this seamless experience, hopefully,
Yep.
right? With the consumer and your customer that might do some shopping, e-commerce, put in some type of cart, and then load their mobile app when they're entering the store, right?
Yep.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
And the mobile app comes up and everything's kind of there for them, and then all of these, the mobile app actually initiates an experience in the store.
Yeah, we find a lot of our customers are using the app in the store, and they're looking for how to save money, how to have more convenience, what is the price, where can I find the item, things that they were doing before mobile existed, but now mobile is that self-help tool where they can get a quick answer.
Right. What percentage of your customers actually have smartphones? Do you know that?
Yeah, so we know that for Walmart, 50% of our customers have smartphones, and if you actually look at the ages between 18 and 34, it's over 70% of those customers have smartphones, and we know that of those smartphones, 88% of them are either iPhone or Android phones. So our customers really are, buying the mainstream phones in mass, and we see that even through some. We're obviously a big seller of smartphones ourselves through our Straight Talk program, so we see that through the sales of our phones as well.
So tell us a little how their customers are using those smartphones, and you've talked a little bit about how they get the experience on site, but how do you see that changing over in the next year or two? It's just a long time frame for this kind of marketplace, but do you have any perspective on how you like to see your smartphone customers change their behavior on phones?
Yeah, so some of the stats I can share are we know that 26% of our customers use the app before they come to the store. So they really are doing that pre-planning. We're going through that pre-planning process, and they're using mobile as a way to help them, decide what they're going to buy before they get to the store. Once they're in the store, they're using it to price check and do things in the store. But we also know that 10% of our m-commerce revenues actually come when a customer's in our store using store mode. So customers are also making transactions online while they're in a store, which is a really interesting stat that we've been looking at. I think this will continue to evolve. I think there's still a lot of education for customers in terms of what mobile can do for them, and we see it only growing in terms of more customers using mobile in the stores and using it as a way to help them have a better experience.
So addressing the question of your customers in a store, you can't help but ask the question and hear so much about showrooming.
Yeah.
I've done it. I've been guilty of it. I confess. And my son, who's younger, does it all the time. How is that an issue at Walmart? Is that a concern? And how are you addressing that? I mean, it's a real question. I guess that hopefully you do think about.
Yeah, no, we definitely think about it. I mean, and the reality is showroom is a really big topic in the press today. Walmart, because we are an everyday low price retailer, we're very proud of our prices and our assortment. We're not afraid of showrooming. We actually welcome it. We want people to come in and see our prices. We believe that we offer the lowest price, and so in a lot of ways, mobile is helping that by providing the customer access to those local store prices and getting them aware of the fact that we can serve them well. And so we are embracing it.
Right. So you obviously have a pretty strong, dominant position, just as a matter of fact that you are Walmart and people know they're going to get great value going into the store.
Yeah.
So it might not be as a big issue for you as some of the other retailers out there. True?
Yeah. I believe so.
Okay. Can you talk about some of Walmart's, or share with us Walmart's mobile payment strategy?
Yeah, so probably about a year or so ago, Walmart joined MCX, which is the Merchant Customer Exchange Group. It's a third party that is it's kind of a group of leading retailers that have gotten together and have organized a third party company called MCX, which is working on developing the next generation mobile payments platform. Because MCX is a separate company, we need them to talk specifically about what they're doing. So I can't go too deep on that, but I would say look out for news from MCX in the future, and that's the best place to get it. But we are, that is the mobile payments bet that we've made.
Okay, so there's a lot of issues, there's a lot of questions I might have about a pretty large effort that's underway at Walmart when you're talking about 200 stores. There's lots of software you're writing and lots of cool stuff you're doing. And by the way, you're located here in San Francisco, right? So I guess some of your people are here too. But can you talk a little bit about how Walmart structured their organization to accomplish the adoption of mobile commerce? Is that an important issue? Was that something that was strategic to Walmart and how you approach this market?
Yeah. So you're right. So we actually have all of Walmart's e-commerce businesses are based here. We have offices in San Bruno, which is just south of the city. And that's been the case since inception of Walmart.com. And so our global e-commerce offices are here. And when we decided to go after mobile, one of the key decisions the organization contemplated was, do we want to have that talent in-house, or do we want to have that talent, do we want to outsource that to agencies or whatnot? And because delivering that seamless anytime, anywhere experience is critical to Walmart's strategy, it's not just an e-commerce strategy, it's not just a store strategy, it is the Walmart strategy. I mean, it's something that everyone believes in. We felt that it was important enough for us to have that talent in-house. And so what we've done over the last several years is go in Silicon Valley and find best-in-class talent in mobile. So people with proven track records in product and engineering. We've also done some what I would call acqui-hires along the way. So we've acquired some smaller companies, and we also acquired an agency about a year and a half ago called Small Society that was based in Portland. And that gave us the ability to open a small Portland satellite office, and we have a team up in Portland from that Small Society acquisition, and we've been building that office out a little bit. And that gave us a great group of developers and product members that were really strong in iOS development. And one of their tasks when they came on was really to focus on how do we deliver a great customer experience? How do we make sure that we have apps that are 4 stars or above in the app stores? Because about 2.5, 3 years ago, our apps were at 3 stars. We said that's not good enough for Walmart. That's not what we stand for. And so, bringing on these highly talented folks has allowed us to really focus on delivering a best-in-class customer experience. And now all of our apps in both the US and the UK, our team is global, so we support multiple countries, are above 4 stars.
So thank you. I'm not familiar with the internal organization of Walmart, but some of the comments that I made earlier and some of the analysis we've seen is the collaboration required between a relatively new team called Mobile Commerce, I don't know what you call it internally, and how that collaboration is done with the people who were there before. Yep. The marketing people, the IT folks, the CMOs, as I was referring. Could you talk a little bit about how that collaboration, what it is, how it's gone?
Yeah. It's actually critical. So when I talk about mobilizing the stores, that's something that the mobile team can't do on our own. Because when you're touching a store, whether you're rolling out a new program, it requires coordination, like you said, with marketing, with store operators, with store systems. And so before we go down any path of launching a new project or feature, we align on strategy and we align on resources across the different teams. And that is critical, because if everyone isn't aligned, it's really hard to get things over the line. We're such a big retailer, there's lots of pressing priorities, so making sure that we're aligned up front on where we're going has been something that I found is critical to our success. And the good news is I think over time, Walmart has become a mobile-centric organization. Everyone understands the value of mobile. I would say it's an evolution. You'll see this in a lot of companies where typically it'll be one person who's kind of the mobile champion, and then there might be a mobile team. But like I said, a mobile team can only go so far if if they're trying to launch something in the store, they need the store operators to be participating, they need them to be collaborative. And I think we now are at that place where we're a mobile-centric organization. But it's an evolution that a company has to go through.
So is there just last question on that, because we could talk about that for about 2 hours, obviously. Is there a person, is that what your responsibility is, the kind of owner of that?
Yeah, so my team is really focused on driving strategy, business development, and we do what we call multi-channel integration. So we do a lot of the coordination and alignment across the organization to make sure we have alignment in strategy and execution, and we meet our milestones. So we're focused very much on working with teams in marketing, store operations, store systems, online systems. So we get to see a good swath of the organization and help bring the teams together.
Great. So I'm sure you've learned a few things, might have made a mistake here and there. Can you share with the attendees, because that's why they're here this week, some of the lessons that you've learned, some of the things to watch out for?
Yeah, I would say that you have, some of the things that we've learned along the way is you have to have that alignment and strategy up front, especially in a large company. When there isn't that alignment and strategy, it's hard to get the execution done right. It's hard to move forward. And so I would say don't underestimate that. It is important to make sure everyone has a shared vision and get buy-in around that. I think it's also really important to make sure the most senior people in the organization understand what value mobile can bring. That's something that everyone all the way up to Mike Duke at Walmart understand mobile. They understand the value of mobile. And I would say that would be something I would highly recommend, making sure your executives are bought in. And the other one is be willing to iterate. Like I said, there's no roadmap here. There's no checkbox that you have to go through, especially when you're thinking about, for those of you that have offline stores, physical assets, when you're trying to mobilize those stores, I do think a lot of it is going to be around understanding your customers' pain points and iterating how to fix them. And some will work and some won't, and that's just part of the game here. Mm-hmm. And I think you have to be willing to do that in the way you think about the resourcing and the budgeting and how you think about your roadmap.
Thank you. So Walmart gets customers in 100, 200 million a week, 140 million in the U.S. His numbers are that big. All age groups, right? From the kids that come with their parents to the teens to the millennials, on and on and on.
Yep.
And we've heard a lot, or I've heard a lot, friction, mobile payment friction, concerns, security, that kind of stuff. So you're dealing with everyone on the planet, literally, who is interested in doing mobile payments through mobile commerce with you guys, with Walmart. How do you address the concerns the customer who walks into your store about security or friction as a whole and just at the checkout counter? What is some of the thoughts you have internally about that?
Yeah. I think it's an evolution. We saw this with e-commerce where at first people were scared a little bit to transact online. I'd say that's largely come to pass. I think people have gotten more secure with it. I think that same, though, fear exists with mobile, and it's starting to dissipate. But I think, we're really focused on making sure the consumer understands it's a secure transaction with Walmart. If they're doing an m-commerce transaction, we've made that checkout process really simple. It is a 2-tap checkout, so they're not spending a lot of time going through lots of pages where they feel like they're not sure what's going on. I think having a really crisp, clean checkout experience where you have the right information about the types of security we use at Walmart, I think that's really important for the customer. In the store, because of the way, right now, the way we're interacting with customers is largely by giving them content. I think most customers feel like that's a normal interaction. I want to see the local store price, or I want to get more information about a product. We don't see a lot of hesitation around that. I think as we've launched Scan and Go, again, the customer's, scanning with their phone and transferring the basket from their phone to the self-checkout register. That's a pretty known behavior. They've used the self-checkout registers before, so we haven't seen a lot of concerns from customers about that experience because, again, it's a checkout process that's been around for 15, 20, 25 years, so they're used to seeing it in stores.
And I imagine to a certain extent the consumer is king, and whichever way they decide to pay is fine with you.
Yeah,
basically.
exactly.
So you let them kind of push that.
Yeah, and I would say there's still a lot of education, though, to be done just around mobile in general. I would say that's the big thing, is just making sure customers are aware that these tools and services are there through mobile. I would say, what we see is the younger generation probably is more aware. Just based on the stat that I gave earlier, that 18 to 34-year-olds, 70% of them have smartphones, so they're just adapting that technology faster. And so, how do we make sure everybody, regardless of their age, is aware of the tools they can have to have a better experience at our stores? Is one of the challenges we face.
Great. So, last question before we hopefully have time for one or two questions from the audience. The cool thing about this marketplace is there's lots of new technology, and you're in the middle of the hotbed of a lot of cool stuff that's happening here in Silicon Valley. Can you share with us some of your predictions or what you're looking for that the overall ecosystem can help you and help Walmart accelerate your mobile commerce efforts? You see any particular challenges out there with specific areas or technology, or overall what would be some of your predictions and what you would ask the mobile commerce marketplace to help push along quicker?
Yeah, so the reason we're so focused on that mobilizing stores and giving our store customers great self-help tools is actually there's a lot of research that shows it's a huge opportunity. So Deloitte actually did a study last year that showed that offline in-store mobile influenced sales in store. So what customers buy in store that's influenced by a mobile use was actually about 5% last year, but by 2016 it'll be about 20%, or about equivalent to $700 billion in the U.S. It's a huge opportunity, and as Walmart, we want to make sure we have our fair share of that, and it's an important piece of our strategy as we go after it. And so I do think as this evolves, we will see more and more sales be influenced by mobile. We want to make sure that Walmart is top of mind in that. And I think that's an important one for others to consider. I also think there's a lot going on right now. Just the pace of innovation is so fast. You hear a lot about the Google wearable devices. What is Apple doing? I think those aren't going to be mainstream devices tomorrow, but what does that look like in 3 to 5 years from now, and how does that affect both our customers and our associates in the stores? I think there's a lot that is still to be learned there that we're watching and monitoring. But I would say that I see the pace of innovation only increasing from here on out, because you just see customers are adopting devices at a faster rate. The operating softwares are coming at a faster rate. And I think even when you look at the smartphone adoption of our customer base, it's really strong across the whole. And so we just see that regardless of what type of customer it is, they want to engage with this.
Right. So you see more of a hockey puck curve as opposed to a flattening out.
Yeah. Which
is what I was alluding to earlier about the overall marketplace. Well, thanks, Wendy. So we have we're out of time, but I'm the chair, so I can allow one or two questions. Does anybody have any questions? Sure. Let me see if we could get a mic to you. Or because of time, maybe you can. Yeah, why don't you stand up and just kind of blast it out?
Yeah, Wendy, you mentioned a 3-bucket strategy. I only caught one of the buckets. Can you repeat what 3 buckets?
Yeah, so there was mobilizing.com, which is delivering that optimized mobile experience through smartphones and tablets. So we know customers want to shop our online site. Let's give it to them in an optimized way. That's one. And then mobilizing stores is really around giving customers great self-help tools in the stores. And that third piece is really, when you bring mobilizing.com and mobilizing stores together, you're naturally accelerating multi-channel. And Walmart, we are a multi-channel retailer. A lot of customers will, purchase online and pick up in store. Like I said, 26% of customers are using that app before they get to the store to do research. That is very multi-channel. They're using us in a variety of different ways. And so our goal is to make sure that customers can have that seamless anytime, anywhere experience, because we know that they like that. That's something they appreciate.
Thank you. I think there's one more question. Gentleman in the back.
Yes. Hi. My name's Andrew Morris, and I'm with a consulting firm called Encode. My question's about payments. So you mentioned that Walmart's a founding member of Merchant Customer Exchange. And those that have followed that, MCX has talked a lot about ways that mobile can make payments better for merchants by lowering the cost or retaining control of the data. But I'm interested in your view on what how consumers can benefit from payments innovation with mobile. What's your view about the role that payments should play in a enhanced consumer experience?
Yeah. I mean, it's a good question because it is something we think about a lot. I think that giving customers more convenience in payments, and a great example of somebody who has done that, I think, is Starbucks. I mean, they've given people a great convenience. You have that mobile gift card, you can go and pay and get through the line faster. Using payments in a way to give customers more convenience is a huge opportunity. I think there's also giving them flexibility in that process as well, whether that's, you see some folks trying to build in ways where you can potentially change the payment type after you've made the transaction. So I think there's a lot that can be done around convenience, flexibility for the customer, and we'll have to see how that evolves and how the customer reacts to that. In the press, I would say there's been a lot of stories recently about Google and ISIS, and they haven't met kind of what they've gone out to do has been largely what the press story has been about. And so I think it's still early days in payments. I think this is going to take a while for us to see how this evolves in the US and where kind of the customer and the business meet together to deliver that great experience.
So thank you, Wendy. Unfortunately, we're out of time, and really appreciate you being here this morning with us.
Thank you for having me. It's been
Our
great.
pleasure. And thank you very much. Okay.